Hello, everyone. I'm Dave, and you're Dave. If anybody doesn't know that after this is episode 6.
That's
so
what
I
it
think
says
they
on the
should
paper.
know our names right now. We're
Seems
Daves.
about right.
And we're the Average Daves Movie and TV Talk. Hope everybody's enjoyed the last 5 episodes. The last one was a big one. It was Star Wars. We actually got shut off by our people behind the scenes here. Told us pretty much to stop.
Yeah, God came out there with his sign.
So, you got anything to say before we get into stuff? Or?
No, Dave, I'm still asleep.
Yeah. Dave just woke up. So,
Yep.
And Dave's not a fun guy when he first.
They changed our schedule for this month, so.
So today is episode 6. Our main subject when we get to it today will be the top 10 1980s movies with our
Two honorable mentions.
Two honorable mentions.
This list was, I mean, I told you doing it, I could have done a top 50.
Yeah.
Still left off some really good movies. So I think this list is going to piss some people off because they're going to be like, well, why isn't this on there?
Yeah. Oh, there was so many.
Because it's my list, and so
there was so many.
Do your own list.
Yeah,
make your own
there
show.
You go. Comment on the YouTube channel and put your list on there.
Tell me how stupid I am for my list, or him, because
we actually
sucks.
had like 20 comments on the last video.
Did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Star Wars, yeah.
I don't watch them.
Yeah, well, you haven't watched it. So let's get into today. So our introduction today for our first subject is going to be The Boys Season 4 trailer.
Finally dropped,
and it comes.
It's coming out what, June 13th, right?
June
15th,
13th or 14th, whatever that. I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's either
sometime in that 13,
13th
14,
or
15 range, middle of June.
And it looked
bloody.
It looked awesome.
I did have my lone concern with it was they didn't show Soldier Boy at all. I mean, he's going to be in it.
He's going to have to be.
Which, I mean, it could be a good thing because, when he pops up finally, it'll be a nice surprise, I mean, you don't need to show everything in the trailer.
Looks like they're introducing a few other soups this year.
Well, they're bringing back Black Noir.
But is he Black Noir?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know. But somebody's in the suit.
Because if you haven't watched The Boys...
Watch it. What's wrong with you?
Do not have kids watch it because it's very violent, very... what's the word I'm looking for when it comes to swears and...
Vulgar.
Vulgar, yes. Vulgar.
Very, very vulgar.
But Black Noir is actually one of my favorite characters in that show because he really doesn't say anything throughout the whole entire thing, but you just know.
He does a lot of, I don't know. He speaks with his body language.
Yeah. And his body language.
It can be funny.
Usually when Black Noir would show up, that means something's about to go down.
Yeah, somebody's about to get killed.
Yeah. But the trailer was great.
Yeah, the trailer, I thought it doesn't... They're doing more seasons, but it looks like they're starting to set up the ending.
Right. I believe Netflix has greenlit them to season
Prime.
5. Amazon Prime has greenlit them to season 5, and that's supposed to be it.
Which, if we get 5 consistently fantastic seasons of any show, it had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
And, it can end after 5, and I won't feel like I've been cheated.
Right. The first 3 seasons are excellent.
Not like Deadwood, that just ends after 3.
Yeah. So, like you said, it does look like they're starting to set up that final run.
Yeah, whatever final arc that they're going to do.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to it. Again, it's either the 13th or 14th of June it comes out.
Yeah, it's something. It's middle of June.
So, if you haven't watched The Boys, go on Prime. Season 1, 2, and 3 are available on there. Get yourself caught up. However, you got to almost have to watch Gen V, too, because Gen V is supposed to be part of this season.
Well, yeah, you can watch Gen V at some point.
Yeah. Because what
Gen V
happened
is
at the end is supposed to flow right into this season.
Well, yeah, Gen V is a much lesser show than The Boys.
Oh, yeah.
But it was still
good. It's good.
It was fine.
Yeah. It takes place at a college for soups.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of
stupid
young people nonsense in it. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's worth watching once. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
No, what? I might watch it again, but it's no. I mean, if you put season 1, 2, and 3 up here on the scale, Gen V's like a middle. It was good. It's watchable. Yeah.
It's The Dark Knight Rises to The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Right. So again, season 4 trailer comes out on June 13th and 14th. If you haven't seen the boys, find it, watch
You're
it.
for a treat. I mean, Amazon as a company, yeah, some of their stuff is awful. Rings of Power is unwatchable.
Yeah.
But it seems like they'll get their crap together for a few shows and keep the woke nonsense out of it. Invincible's really good.
Yeah.
And
Invincible's excellent.
and The Boys is
What
very,
I think
very
about
good.
the boys, they'll pick on the left.
Yeah.
They'll pick on the right.
Pick on
They'll
everyone.
Pick on
That's
people
fine.
in the middle. So yeah,
Spread
the
the
boys
love.
season 4 trailer. Watch the show. It's excellent. The next thing is Shogun. The miniseries just ended last week. What's today?
I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago on Monday.
I finally watched it.
I still put it up there in my top 5 probably miniseries of all time. I loved it because it was a story.
It was a story.
I mean, it was a great story. They went with the book for the most part. They did change some things up. The ending was a change on how they did it. But overall,
I had my issues with the show,
the
and I'll get into a spoiler free.
I think it was excellent. The actors were great.
Actors were great. The settings were great. The sets were great.
I mean,
Beautifully shot. Beautifully acted.
Yeah.
Beautifully written. I don't really have issues in the show. My main issue in the show is it needed to be longer.
I agree.
It needed to be longer.
I think they could have went another 2 episodes anyways.
Yeah, that was my initial thought. Was this show's ending at
Stretch
least
out
2 episodes
because
early?
In the book, in the original miniseries, there's some great battles. They never really showed the battles in here because
That's one of my biggest issues with
yeah,
the show.
if you put another 2 episodes
There's-
on there and you could have put more of the battles that were in there, the major battles that took place, because just the little bits of the battles you had, the little scenes and stuff, you could tell that would have been fantastic. But yeah, that's probably my biggest complaint. It could have easily been 2 episodes longer.
If you watch the opening credits, it shows what seems to be hints at these big epic battles,
No, and you don't get them.
and you don't get them.
You get a little skirmishes, a little, not even really
You
skirmishes.
didn't get any like soldier versus
one-on-ones.
soldier. You got like assassins coming in. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't boring as far as like there wasn't action. There wasn't the action that I was expecting.
I agree. Because
I have my
I
issues
also
with it.
remember the original, and I've read the book. So if you read the book and seen the original, you'll know what I'm talking about for this version of it. It's still excellent. It's excellent.
I mean, it was still a very, very well done show.
But like you said, the settings, the shots, gorgeous.
yeah.
I mean, how meticulous they were on the outfits and the Japanese culture. When I was in Japan, I loved it. And I remember going to some of the old samurai castles and stuff like that. And
I've never been.
spot
I've
on.
never been off the Eastern Seaboard.
Yeah, well, you're from New Jersey, so that should tell everybody everything right there. So,
You gotta tell them my secret.
so yeah, if you haven't watched Shogun, I would highly recommend Shogun.
I mean, I would recommend you watch it. I was expecting more, and I was expecting better.
Yeah.
It kind of let me down in that. I mean, it should have had a few
Yeah.
big battle scenes,
Yeah. Oh, there.
which would have, and then like it ended early. Plus, there was no big battle scenes leading up to it. Like that's your 2 episodes, just the big battle that was hinted at, and then you could have had some other battles
Right.
along the way, and
No, that's what I was hoping
Nothing.
for, and they didn't do it. And
in that regards, the show let me down.
well, I agree.
And that's our
Yeah.
somewhat spoiler-free
Yeah.
thoughts.
But I would recommend you watching it.
I would recommend you watch it too.
If you're in for a really good story, the story is excellent.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird show where like I recommend you watch it, but at the same time, it didn't blow me away.
Yeah.
But I can see where it would blow people away. I mean, it is a well done show.
Yeah, I mean, it was but the acting was great. The sets,
Yeah.
you can't complain about
The guy
any
who played
of
Tornag, what's his name? Hideo.
that. Played in
Yeah, he was in Last Samurai and God, what the heck's his name?
Kombat.
I should have. Yeah, he was the Scorpion in the newest Mortal Kombat.
I'll think of it before we get done.
It's like Hideo something.
he was
Begins
excellent.
with a S too. Hideo Soriano. I don't know.
It was excellent. He was
He
excellent.
played Tornaga in this. He was also like one of the main producers, and he did a really, really, really good job.
So, again, I recommend Shogun. Dave, you recommend
I-
it. You were disappointed, though.
I mean, disappointed, but still recommend.
So,
And I think I'm going to be in the minority here. I think a lot of people are going to like it a lot.
yeah, but that's what's great about movies and TVs. TV shows.
That's
It's
what's
subjective.
better about my list here that we've done.
Yeah, I mean, that's
better
why
than your list.
No, my list would be better than yours. So, whatever. I mean, we'll let the people decide. I think they'll probably, if they did a vote, they'll say my list would be better than yours by the time they get
Be
done.
nice if we could do like polls every single episode. Which list is better? And I just get decimated every time. But whatever.
All right, so again,
ain't changing.
our main subject for tonight is going to be our top 1980s movies.
This was your idea to do this,
We'll do our top 10 with 2 honorable mentions. And
as we normally do.
as Dave said, I could have had
50.
50 movies on here.
I could add 50 movies.
So
on
it's
here.
very hard. I know I'm missing some.
You know,
I know it.
the 1980s, as far as movies go, was really, really good, really, really fun. As good as the 80s were, though, as I was making this list, I was thinking the 90s were even better.
Early 90s. Early to mid 90s, I think.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the mid 90s was just, but then again, at the end of the 90s, you had some. Movies used to be really, really, really good. You know, we had the 80s, we had the 90s, we had the 2000s. And then in 2010s, they were still really good, but they started to go down a little bit.
That's when they start, especially near the end, is like ideology over art. And near the end. And
Don't get me wrong, the 2010s still had a lot of great movies in them, but like we had like a 30-year span, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, where it was like every single year
you had good stuff coming
you
out.
had really good stuff to look forward to coming out.
You want to start with your 2 honorable mentions,
You know what,
Dave?
Dave? I think I should.
Okay. You go. You take it off. Get going. Moving on.
And maybe after this episode, I'll actually be woken up, so I'll have a little bit more.
We'll actually be
personality.
doing 90s movies and
At some point,
2000,
yeah,
2010
I mean,
down the road.
We have all those lists done. So my first honorable mention that I throw in here, and I just watched it recently, like 2 weeks ago, First Blood, 1982, directed by Ted. I'm going to try Kotcheff.
Kotcheff, I think. Yeah.
Something like that. Starring Sylvester Stallone, Brian Dennehy, and Richard. Now, how do you say that?
Crenna.
Is it Crenna or Crenna?
Crenna.
Crenna?
Not Richard Crenna.
It's it's like not the movie that launched Sylvester Stallone's career. That's obviously Rocky. But it was the start of his second iconic character
yeah.
that he played.
He's had 2.
Yeah, he's had 2. I mean, some people could even say 3 if you include what was it, Barney in The Expendables.
Yeah.
I mean, The Expendables are fun enough.
Yeah. I think if you mention
But he's on,
Sylvester
like-
Stallone, they know
yeah.
him as Rocky. Or Rambo.
Rocky and Rambo.
Yeah.
For most of it.
But Rambo, First Blood is a great movie.
It is an awesome movie. It really is. Vietnam vet drifting through a town in what state was that? Was that in?
I want to say Washington. Or Oregon. One of those two upper
Yeah, I think it
northwest
was
states.
like Washington, and just He
had post-trap. Back in the day, they didn't call it that, but he definitely had PTSD.
Yeah, he definitely had that. They did change the ending from the book, but they did film the original ending where at the end they kill him, and they used that scene in, I think, Rambo or Last Blood when he was having a flashback when he actually shot him.
See, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they actually used footage from the original ending that they filmed.
Did not know that. Look at it. Learn something new every day.
Yep. Well, got to learn my list is better than yours. My second honorable mention is one of the all-time great comedies. It's so good. Police Academy, 1984. Directed by Hugh Wilson, starring Steve Guttenberg, G.W. Bailey, and Kim Cattrall.
And others
There are others in there.
that went along, kept going on.
Hightower, Tackleberry.
Hightower is great.
Yeah.
His character is one of my favorite characters.
What the heck's his name? Michael Winslow, too?
Michael
the guy
Winslow.
who does the sounds?
Yep. Yeah,
I mean,
he's good. That boy.
what
can
is
make
there to say
sounds.
about Police Academy?
that
It is
boy-
a comedy based in a police academy.
Yeah.
And it is so over the top and so fun.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never seen it, couldn't recommend it more.
The sequels,
Well, I only
think
put one Police Academy.
I know,
movie.
but
The
I think
sequels
there's,
are, Steve Guttenberg's in how many of the sequels? 2? 3?
2 or maybe 3, but there's I think 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 6 or 7.
It got pretty bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of times... sequels to comedies are so hard to do in the first place, and by the time you get to the 17th sequel, yeah, they're basically terrible.
And they did there. So, my honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is The Untouchables. From June 3rd, 1987, starring Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, and Andy Garcia, and directed by Brian De Palma. It takes place in the Prohibition era in Chicago.
Going after Capel.
Again, and it is it's just a really good cop and bad guy movie.
It's one of the lesser Kevin Costner movies.
The lesser? Wow. I think Kevin Costner was excellent in this movie. And Sean Connery is Sean Connery.
Sean Connery?
I mean,
Sean Connery always plays Sean Connery. Is there any other character he plays other than Sean Connery?
You'll actually see him in another movie of mine here, and you're going to be like, yeah, how can he play that character when he sounds like he's from his country? But anyways, I love The Untouchables. And my next
It's a good movie.
My next honorable mention, which Dave is going to probably be like, what? It's an honorable mention, is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade from May 24th, 1989, starring Harrison Ford and Sean Connery, directed by Steven Spielberg. I think that's my favorite of the Indiana Jones movies.
It is my favorite of the Indiana Jones.
The whole father-son dynamic, the comedy those two had together.
Harrison Ford and Sean Connery had great on-screen chemistry.
They were perfect.
They really were.
They were perfect together. Plus, it's an Indiana Jones movie, so you get that World War II vibe with the bad guys with the Nazis, and you get just some of the stuff they would do and say. It's just a great movie.
Has any army ever been portrayed as bad guys more than the Nazis?
No.
I don't think so.
Sorry, Dave. Your mic is just pointing. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. You got in trouble again, Dave.
Well, I mean,
Jeez.
Look, the mic was looking at the camera.
You got in trouble again.
Listen,
Maybe we should keep in trouble.
I was
How many
told
times did you get in trouble and I get in trouble?
I was told that this was going to be a radio show. And then you put me in front of cameras. All right, my number 10, kicking off this list proper. The Thing, 1982. John Carpenter starring Kurt Russell. I think we've talked about this movie before on this show.
Yeah. Why We Love Movies, I think it was on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? This is this my favorite horror movie of all time? Maybe, probably. It's not the scariest movie as far as horror movies go, but it's just so well done. It's the whole isolation effect, the whole who can you trust?
No CGI.
Yeah, no CGI. It was all practical effects. There's the one scene where the one guy loses his 2 arms. They actually had somebody come in who didn't have arms to shoot that scene.
Yeah.
It's great. And you know what? Practical effects are more timeless than CGI. As little CGI as you can put in a movie is gonna really help it age better.
That's the problem with modern movies. Everything's CGI.
Everything's CGI.
It's yeah. But
And a lot of it you could tell is just actors standing in front of a green screen.
Right here.
What?
Yeah, that's our green screen.
What are you talking about? We're not looking at a bar /
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's what they do now.
logo thing.
And they have their little fake things over here moving, so it looks like the creature they're supposed to be talking to.
Yep.
It's just, all right, whatever.
All right. My number 9 was Amadeus. Look, it won the Academy Award for Best Picture back when the Academy Awards actually meant something. 1984. 1984 was a good year for movies. Directed by Milos Forman, starring Tom, I think how you say his name is Hulch, and F. Murray Abraham. Do you have anything to say about this movie, or would you like me to say it?
I don't like it.
Why?
I never.
How many times have you watched it?
Probably 2 times.
Okay.
It just
Well,
never.
At least you gave it another chance.
It just never did anything for me, and I just thought it was weird.
So Tom Hulce plays Mozart.
Yep.
and F. Murray Abraham plays the court composer Salieri, and it's Mozart died under mysterious circumstances, and this is sort of like a what if he died because of this. You could say because of Salieri's jealousy
Yep.
of just him being better than him. It's a 3-hour-long movie. It doesn't feel like a 3-hour-long movie.
It feels every bit 3-hour movie.
All right, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and feel bad about the selection. I love that movie. Okay.
And
It's
again,
my list. It's better than yours.
That's great.
There's a movie on your list that I don't even think anyone's ever heard of. But we'll get to it at some point.
I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about.
At least my movie was recognized by the Academy when the Academy had some prestige.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Now it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Nope.
So, my number 10
Please.
is Highlander. From March 7th, 1986, starring Clancy Brown, Sean Connery, and Christopher Lambert, directed by Russell Mulcahy.
Didn't you have that as your number one?
Yeah, but
When you did the list?
I moved things around.
You move things around.
I
So
had to.
a movie went from your favorite movie of the 80s to your
Yeah,
10th
but
favorite?
because actually I think that was when I wrote it, it was wrong. It was supposed to be down lower. And then I had to move some other things. But I
guess you
looked
didn't
at my
realize
list
it
again.
then. I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
Well, they're actually doing a remake of it starring Superman himself, Henry Cavill.
Christopher Reeves?
But
I almost said Christopher Lloyd.
But it takes place in the 1500s Scotland, and you have Christopher Lambert playing the Highlander. You have Clancy Brown playing. I think this was actually one of his first roles, and then you have Sean Connery with his Scottish accent playing a Spaniard. Didn't make any sense then. It's
All three of your movies so far have had Sean Connery in it.
Sean Connery was an '80s guy.
Was he?
Well,
I thought
look
he was
at
more of
it.
a 60s guy.
But if you look
James
at a lot
Bond.
of movies in the '80s, Sean Connery. What's that one with him where he was king? Took place
First Night?
First Night.
I thought that was a 90s movie.
I thought that was the late '80s.
I thought that was like real early 90s.
Yeah. So well, either way,
Who else was that? It was Richard Gere, right?
Yeah, Richard Gere.
Yeah.
But Sean Connery was in a lot of stuff in the '80s and '90s. So rest in peace, Sean Connery.
Yep. A legend.
My number 9 movie is Christmas Vacation from December 1st, 1989, starring Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Randy Quaid, and directed by Jeremy Chechik, I think it's called.
Chechik? Yeah, I would say Chechik.
I think everybody, if you're into Christmas,
Has seen this movie.
it's a must watch.
This is the one movie that I absolutely do watch every year.
Oh yeah, this is on my Christmas playlist.
There's a couple that I absolutely have to watch every year. This is on there. This is probably my favorite. Like, I'm pretty sure I haven't missed this movie in the past 25 years.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of adult humor. There's some kid humor. Some of the adult humor you got to really kind of. I see.
I see what you're doing here. It's very funny.
It's just a great movie.
Yeah, it's probably my all-time favorite Christmas movie.
It's fun. I can watch it every year or twice a year and be like, and I laugh
Yeah.
every time. There's certain scenes I will laugh every time where he starts going off about the boss and stuff. It's just a great scene. There's a lot of great scenes in
It's
that
full
movie.
of great scenes.
But then again, Christmas Vacation is the National Lampoon series with Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo was in every one of them up until the modern ones.
Weren't they even in the newest one?
No.
I thought they had like a cameo. Like, I didn't watch it.
See,
but
I didn't watch
thought
the new
that
one
they had a
either.
cameo in the beginning where
Maybe they did.
I'm pretty sure Chevy Chase was in it.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Don't quote me on it. I didn't see it. It didn't look very funny.
When it came out, and the first thing you see is a Rotten Tomato score and all them, and I don't be able to, but of 20. You're like, yeah, probably
Yeah,
not.
but Rotten Tomatoes is not the be all and
No,
end all.
but when your audience scores were just as low,
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it either. I've watched all of the proper
But
ones.
if you haven't
There's
seen
what,
Christmas
4?
Vacation, I don't know what you're doing,
How could you have missed it?
but you need to watch Christmas Vacation.
Well, my number 8 is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and we just covered it, so there's no point going into it anymore.
Other than it's a great
Other
movie.
than it's a great movie, and
I Pledge Allegiance. No. What did she sing when Santa...
Oh, no. They were having her do Grace. And then she got up and she did the Pledge of Allegiance. It's such a quotable movie. All right, number 7. I went with The Princess Bride, 1987. Directed by Rob Reiner, starring Carrie Elwes, Carrie Elwes, Robin Wright. I'm going to try here. Mandy Patinkin and Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
I think I said it right. Patinkin?
Yeah.
Patinkin? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's based on the book of the same name. I mean, there's more people in it. There's
Oh my God, Richard Lewis. Is he in that? I think he's like.
Richard Lewis. No, you're thinking of
Okay, no, I'm thinking
Men in
different-
Tights.
Yeah,
Which is a 90s movie.
yeah.
Which would be on my 90s list. Dave, would you stop
I'm
giving
sorry.
away future
Sorry,
lists?
sorry,
Jesus God.
God.
I mean, First Night,
Yeah.
and now Men in Tights.
But,
Did you really think The Princess Bride was Men in Tights for a second there? Did you?
yes, I'm sorry.
Listen, Dave,
But it is a great
Wesley's battle against the Sheriff of Rottingham was just an all-timer for me.
movie. Oh, yeah. It's so funny. Carrie Elwes is great in that role. The
is.
humor,
Yes.
that dry line.
What was he, the Dread Pirate Roberts? I haven't seen it in a few years.
Oh yeah, it's probably been.
But is it the Dread Pirate Roberts?
I believe so.
I think it is. I could be wrong. Look, it's on my top 10 list. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Been a couple 3 years for me, anyways.
I probably haven't seen it in like 4 or 5 years. I'm due. And I think I've seen it on one of the streaming services. And it's like one of those ones that it's getting to the point where I'm like, yeah, I am due to watch this one. Yeah, like what else is there to say? It's a really fun.
It's just fun.
It is a fun fantasy movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
And if you like fantasy movies and you like fun, there's a common theme here for like the 80s. All these movies so far, except for Amadeus, that's kind of depressing. But all these other movies have been fun.
Oh yeah.
Amadeus is a lot more serious.
Yeah.
It was trying to.
It's not a good
It
movie.
was trying to entice the Academy, Dave. Once again, back when it meant something.
Alrighty.
You're number 8.
My number 9. No, my number 8. Sorry.
Jesus God. I thought I was
Is
asleep.
Full Metal Jacket from June 17th, 1987. Starring R. Lee Ermey, Vincent D'Onofrio, Matthew Modine, and directed by Stanley Kubrick himself. R. Lee Ermey,
Probably my second favorite opening to any war movie ever.
the boot camp scene for
camp scene.
Parris Island, South Carolina. I was there, so I know how it was. He nailed it.
Now-
I mean, he nailed it.
Didn't they originally bring him in to be like an advisor for
Advisor.
an actor that they had to
Yep.
play the drill sergeant? And then after seeing him and I guess like seeing the way that he commanded the screen presence,
He,
commanded the screen presence.
Yeah.
Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm not awake.
yeah, he
Commanded the screen.
he, like you said, was hired as a consultant and tried to get the guy to do it, and he just couldn't do it. And
Just
then he
do what I do, and then eventually they just told that other actor,
Yeah.
"You're fired."
I mean, R. Lee Ermey was actually a Marine Corps drill instructor as a sergeant. He actually retired from the Marine Corps as a staff sergeant and was given an honorary promotion to gunnery sergeant. So
Was this his first acting role?
I think so.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't.
But
Think, I've never looked into
I don't
it.
believe so because he was in the boys from Company C as well.
So why didn't they just hire him outright?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know that they did eventually, but why didn't they just say,
yeah, I don't know. But he was.
"Oh, wait a
actually-
minute, you have acting experience and you were an actual drill sergeant"?
He was actually in Boys from Company C, which was, I believe, early 80s. So, no, it wasn't his first. But he,
But this launches. But this really did launch his career, and
But-
he was in a lot of stuff before he passed.
but he,
Rest in peace.
that boot camp scene is dead nuts to what it really is.
It's so good.
And then they go off to Vietnam and
I kind of forget the movie past like all of the drill
well,
camps.
if that's
or, like, the boot
if
camp
that's
stuff.
the reason it kind of knocks me down. If I was to do a war movie list, I don't even know if it'd make it my war movie list.
I don't. Maybe.
Yeah. Then
You
my
have
num-
another movie on there that I know would be on mine.
Oh yeah, this is my next one. My number 7 is Platoon from December 19th, 1986, starring Charlie Sheen, Willem Dafoe, Tom Berenger. I mean,
Johnny Depp.
and introducing
It wasn't introducing.
I thought it was his first role.
No, his first one's Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's right. No, Friday the 13th or
Nightmare on Elm Street.
on Elm Street. Yeah,
I confused.
but I think that when Nightmare came out same year, I believe it's 85.
But Nightmare on Elm Street has in the credits and introducing.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's in this too. But you have two huge stars there: Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger.
Especially in the 80s.
Yeah, they were huge. And directed by Oliver Stone. Takes place in Vietnam. Great action, great story. Having you two different factions. Even though you're in the same unit, you had two different factions. They both hated each other. Mm-hmm. But when it came time to do the fight, they did the fight. And, Willem Dafoe...
They still hated each other when they were doing the fight.
Yeah. But one of the classic scenes in all movies was where you see Willem Dafoe getting shot and he does his arms up in the air. And
I just watched Tropic Thunder where they absolutely...
And Charlie Sheen looks at Tom Berenger. But yeah, Tropic Thunder, that whole scene. So, alrighty.
Am I making up words? I don't know.
Yeah, you could be.
Emulate is what I'm thinking of.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, you got it.
Okay, number 6, Caddyshack. 1980, directed by the late, the great Harold Ramis. Starring Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, Bill Murray, Michael O'Keefe, and Ted Knight. What is there to say about Caddyshack other than you've better have seen it?
The gopher.
The gopher
is
yes
one of the best parts. It's part of the movie. It's part of the story.
He is a character.
Yeah, he is like Bill Murray's nemesis and the golf course's nemesis and
Bushwood. Bushwood Country Club.
Yeah, but Bill Murray didn't say much in it, but he didn't have to.
He said enough.
Right, he didn't say a lot, but it was this physical comedy.
Yeah,
in that the way he was,
his expressionisms and stuff.
With him and Chevy Chase would get together.
They had the one scene together, and the only reason that they did that scene, and from what I understand, those two couldn't stand each other.
Yeah. Well, that goes all the way back to Saturday Night Live.
Like, absolutely couldn't stand each other. Yeah, I mean, they had past history. It's not like they met on the set. Those two did not like each other. Yeah. And I think the directors just said, look, our two biggest stars in this movie need to have at least one scene together. So they just made them do this one scene together. And I think they did it themselves. Like, I think they just,
one of the
were like,
best
hey,
scenes.
Listen, give us a, cameraman and a sound guy, and we'll just do this. Yeah. And it worked. It was hysterical.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And it's also the only time that they're on screen together, that whole movie, because aside from that, they didn't
Ted
want to be...
Knight's character, you could not put him in a modern movie.
No.
Rodney Dangerfield would not be in acting anymore.
I think they just, what did they build this movie as? The slobs versus the snobs?
Pretty much.
Type of deal?
Yeah. Money versus the poor people on a golf course.
Yeah, but I think more like the slobs versus snobs.
Yeah.
Brian Doyle Murray is in it too. I believe he helped write it. Bill Murray's oldest brother. Yeah. He was like the guy who was in charge of all the caddies. Yeah. Your Honor, Your Honor.
Oh, yeah.
He was also the boss in National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Yeah, that is Bill Murray's oldest brother. Yeah. He's in a lot of movies with him too. Number 5. I went with one of the movies that introduced us to one of the all-time great characters of cinema, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 1981, directed by the legendary Steven Spielberg, starring Harrison Ford, Karen Allen, and Paul Freeman. I originally had on my list Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but I replaced it with this because even though Last Crusade is my favorite, Raiders of the Lost Ark is what started it.
Started it, right.
Yeah. And
that's a great movie, though.
It is a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's definitely the second best.
Yeah,
the trilogy.
all three of the first three are great.
Temple of Doom. I mean, you got up here, you got Last Crusade and Raiders, and then Temple of Doom's kind of like down here. It's not bad, and it's certainly worth watching.
But then you go to 4.
And then you go to 4.
Yeah, and then the last one, which was really
and then you go to the last one, which is unwatchable because
they went to...
Well, that one was Disney, but I think 4 wasn't.
No, it wasn't. That was with...
4 is watchable, but it's bad.
Who was the kid in that one?
Oh, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
Whatever his name is.
And he was not good in it. I didn't like his
character. I honestly don't remember if I liked him or not.
Yeah, I don't mind him as an actor, but I didn't like him in that.
I can promise you he was probably better than...
I'll take 4 over 5.
Oh, God,
This new one is horrible.
What's her name? The woman from 5.
I don't remember. It was such a bad movie. I can't really tell much
I've never
about
seen
it
it.
because I forgot all about it.
I've never seen it.
So if I see a movie and it's only 6 months old that last time I saw it, and I've forgotten pretty much about it, that shows you how bad the movie is. It was bad, but you know what? Other people ain't love it. All right, so my number 6 is what's that?
Weirdos.
My number 6 is, I think, without this, I don't know where we would be in the superhero movies, is Batman from June 23rd, 1989, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, directed by Tim Burton. I think that was they saw in 1989, hey, we can make money off good comic book
Dark
heroes.
and gritty.
Yeah.
Superhero stories. Grounded.
And it was great. Michael Keaton was... I can remember when this all came out, and everybo's, Michael Keaton, he's a comedian, blah, blah, blah.
I was a little too young then.
And I can remember being like, hey, Michael Keaton?
Well, yeah, up until then, he was in nothing but comedy movies. Yeah. Speaking of Michael Keaton, I tried to watch, what was it, Johnny Dangerously recently? Couldn't watch it.
No, I haven't seen it. I can't tell you the last time I saw that.
It was so cheesy.
Yeah, I don't even know when I saw that movie last. Been years upon years. But Batman from 1989.
Good entry. Not on my list, but good entry.
Great Batman outfit. He was awesome.
Yes, it's probably my favorite Batman outfit. In fact, on the Sideshow Collectibles website, they're doing, I believe it's a re-release of their 1/12 scale or whatever it is, giant action figure. And I have that pre-ordered. It should be arriving soon. I paid for it.
I was just going to ask you, have you got that yet?
No, I went on there and it said it's supposed to ship between the middle of May and the middle of March. Or, I'm sorry, April. So if it hasn't shipped by now, it should ship within a week or two, hopefully.
Alrighty, and my number 5 is Terminator from October 26, 1984, starring the man, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Linda Hamilton, and Michael Biehn, and directed by James Cameron. I love this movie.
Michael Biehn.
It is so good. It is one of the best sci-fi movies out there, and sequel is better. Just so you know.
Yes, it's a 90s movie.
The Terminator is so good. Arnold Schwarzenegger is awesome.
Practical effects too. That hold up. I mean, they look pretty bad, but they do hold up.
It holds up.
I mean, you can tell what they're trying to do.
The story is great. The effects hold up. It's a great movie.
Linda Hamilton's, Sarah Connor, turns into such a badass. One of the great heroines of cinema.
Yeah, and we'll be getting into that stuff later on.
When?
We'll talk about it.
At some point? My number 4, well, we just covered the subject last week. The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, directed by Irvin Kershner. Starring Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Billy D. Williams. We talked about how much we love Star Wars last week, and this is the best. This is peak Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
There has not been, and it's safe to say,
never will be.
In Disney's hands, never will be a better Star Wars movie than this. Speaking of Star Wars, remember I told you that the guy at work wants us to watch the sequel because he saw the sequel trilogy, but he never really saw the first 6, and he didn't like the sequel trilogy as is. But after seeing the first 6, he's like, I think we should watch the sequel trilogy, and I'm like, I really don't want to. Well, last night we watched episode 7.
Good for you.
And we're gonna watch 8, and I'm gonna watch 9 for the first time, and I can tell you definitively it will be only the second time I've seen episode 8, and the only time I will ever watch episode 9. Episode 7 had a few scenes in it that were actually likable. Yeah. I don't remember one in episode 8, and I doubt there's one in episode 9 that I'm even gonna remotely enjoy, except for in the sense of, wow, that was that bad. Yeah. So. The Empire Strikes Back, peak sci-fi, peak Star Wars. There is a reason that this is the main reason that Star Wars is so endearing. Because, the first movie was great, but if they came out with a sequel and it stunk, well, that would have just been the end of it. Yeah. So, because the sequel was so good and they proved that they could do it again, we have Star Wars. Yep. Number 3, another sci-fi classic, 1987's RoboCop. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, starring Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, Ronnie Cox, and Kurtwood Smith. Part man, part machine, all cop. RoboCop's going to clean up the streets of old Detroit, right?
It's a great movie.
It's so good.
Great movie.
And a kids movie. It's kid friendly.
Yeah, they made toys
For the 80s.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
They weren't allowed to be a kids movie now.
It would not be a kids
It'd be a
movie.
rated
now.
R movie
It
all
would
day
be a
long.
rated R movie. It is a rated R movie.
That was PG.
How could it not? How?
Oh, no, that's rated as R.
Yeah, they have
But it'd be a hard R
like
now.
dismemberment in it.
Yeah, but for this day and age, it'd be considered a hard R.
Yeah, and there's even like an extended version where it's even gorier.
Yes, I've never seen that.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
They don't extend much of it. It's like not like there's like, you know what? I think I've only seen the extended version once, and I don't even know where I watched it. I was just watching it, and it was like, all of a sudden, it's like I don't remember this in the original. What? But yeah, 1987's RoboCop. I mean, it's a kids movie. The 80s, this was considered a kids movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like they had toys. I had a RoboCop action figure and I had a Terminator action figure, and they would fight each other.
Because toys were fun.
Toys were fun.
Toys now suck.
I wouldn't know. I haven't. I've bought collectibles. I can't say I've bought an actual
collectibles.
toy.
Yeah, I do collectibles now. All right,
Dave,
so
you're number 4.
my number 4
Your number 3.
is Ghostbusters from June 3rd, 1984, starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and directed by Ivan Reitman. I don't know what else to say other than the Ghostbusters. I think everybody knows Ghostbusters.
That is criminally high on your list.
Coming low?
No, high.
Oh,
No, low would be like 1,
yeah.
where it should be.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a great movie.
It is a great movie. And the finished product we got is so much different than what they pitched. Like, they wanted, like, time travel and space travel and stuff and, like, all kinds of weird stuff. And what we got was not that at all.
No, almost you almost put on a horror. It was a comedy, but you could almost go with a little horror in it because of things they were doing.
It's got ghosts in it.
Yeah.
It does have some scary stuff in it.
And to this day, what do you see every year at Halloween? People dressing up as Ghostbusters.
As they should be.
Yeah. So,
And they dress up as the original 4.
right.
They dress
It's
up
an
as
all-time classic movie.
What did you think of have you seen
I haven't
Frozen
seen
Empire?
the newest one yet.
What was the one before
Afterlife.
Afterlife?
It was okay.
I didn't like it.
It was okay.
I liked the beginning.
Yeah, when I say it's okay,
Aside from
I mean,
that, I did.
I don't think I'll ever watch it again. It was okay.
I mean, as for like Ghostbusters movies, there's 1 and then there's 2.
Yeah, 2016.
It didn't they release a box set and that wasn't even in it?
Yeah.
It was
Well,
just
'cause they knew.
It was just 1, 2, and Afterlife.
Yeah, because they knew it was bad.
Because it was unwatchably
So
bad.
my number 3 is Aliens from July 14th, 1986, starring Sigourney Weaver and
movie.
Bill Paxton, and directed by James Cameron
Wait a minute, Michael Biehn was in that too.
and Michael Biehn. Yep.
Got it right.
But that movie,
So was the late great Bill Paxton.
I did say Bill Paxton.
Did you?
Yeah, you might want to listen. But
You're not really
Aliens,
worth listening to.
Aliens, and then it's the prequel to that. I mean, it's not really a prequel. The first,
The
movie,
original.
the original Alien.
Yeah.
Aliens is
Awesome.
awesome. Takes
Awesome.
place in outer space, and space marines fight aliens.
So the first Alien, if you've never seen it, shame on you. But it is very much a horror movie where these people are trapped in a spaceship with this xenomorph that will hunt them down and kill them. It's like the perfect killing machine.
Yep.
And then the sequel, they add space marines
Who get slaughtered.
going after these xenomorphs in this basically sci-fi horror action movie. It was a great sequel. It was
And
so
they get
good.
slaughtered.
Yeah, well, for the most, most of them do.
Yeah.
But they put up a fight.
Yeah, they do. But they didn't have much of a chance.
Yeah, but it was really
movie.
good. Really, really well
And
done.
one of the best female lead characters of all time.
Arguably the best.
Yep. And we'll be getting into that later on.
Yeah.
There you go, Dave. Let's get these last 2 out of here.
All right,
Done.
number 2. So for me, number 2 and number 3 could have flip-flopped. But there's just something about number 2. Like, I think this is like, when you think of great movies from the 80s, you think of Back to the Future. It's so fun. It just puts a smile on your face. And as you put it before, because we were talking about this before, it is actually a trilogy that is one complete story.
Yeah.
There's like no breaks in it. There's like everything happens in one complete story. Like if you get rid of all of the end credits scenes between
could
like the
run 'em back to
movies.
back to back.
You could run them back to back to back. Just there is a casting change from 1 to 2. That's not really the people's fault, but whatever. 1985, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis, excuse me. Starring Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd.
Iconic.
Is there a more iconic 80s movie?
You think of Michael J. Fox, you think of Christopher Lloyd, you think of Back to the Future.
You think of, what else do you think of, Dave? A DeLorean.
Oh, every time I go to Comic Cons, what do they have? They have Back to the Future set there.
So good. Everyone's seen Back to the Future, and if you haven't, shame on you. There's nothing else to say. It's just awesome.
Iconic.
And my number one is Ghostbusters, 1984, Ivan Reitman, starring, and I put them all in there, Dave.
I'm sorry.
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, Rick Moranis, and of course, the late great Howard Ramis. Howard Ramis was such a massive part of the 1980s. There's nothing else to say about Ghostbusters. I'm pretty sure when we did our top 100 list, it was my number 2.
Yeah, again, it's iconic.
It's that beloved to me.
So my number 2 is Back to the Future from July 3rd, 1985. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, and Robert Zemeckis. Don't need to say anymore.
You don't need to say anymore.
It's a classic movie of all time. I mean, it's...
When you think of the 80s, I think, even though I like Ghostbusters better, but when I think of the 80s movies, I think of Back to the Future.
Yeah. Well, it's so 80s, though.
It is so 80s.
It's so 80s. Everything about it is so 80s. So 80s.
So fun.
Yeah. And my number one, Dave already discussed it. We discussed it last week, is Empire Strikes Back from May 17th, 1980. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Irvin Kershner is director. I'm not going to say much more about it because it's just an iconic movie.
So much last week.
And Star Wars has had so many things follow it after that. So many movies have been just made from a Star Wars type of story. You can see they were influenced by Star Wars.
You know, I watched that Battlestar Galactica that you lent me from 1978. That came out a year after A New Hope. And the special effects they don't even compare.
Right. If you ever watch, I know you don't like the background stuff. Watch the one on that. And
I don't mind watching this. I've seen a lot of the stuff on Star Wars.
That was only supposed to be a 2-part movie.
Star Wars?
No, Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, okay.
And then last minute, they're like, oh no, let's make this a TV series. They didn't have the money. So everything was being recycled. You know, shoots here,
but I watched the 2-parter that you lent me. It was the original movie.
But then they made it the series.
Yeah.
And you watch it, like you said, the space battles are all reused shots.
Well, yeah, I was saying, I didn't like they're showing their radar screen, and they still have the blips of the friendly ships from when they used it before in the movie, and it's.
But I love Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun movie. The guy who played Adama, Lauren Green, really good.
Yeah. Richard Hatch was Apollo.
Honestly, my second favorite character probably in the show was Boomer.
Yep, that was, I can't remember his guy's name.
I don't remember his name, but
last name was Booker.
He was really good. Yep. I liked him better than Apollo. I liked him better than what was his name? Starbuck. I liked Boomer's the second most.
Who Dirk Benedict, who went on to play in what other 1980s classic TV show?
Star Trek?
The A-Team.
Oh, who the hell watches the A-Team?
Oh,
I saw the movie in 2010. It wasn't that
movie
great.
was bad. So that was our top movies from the 1980s. Hope you guys like them. And again, comment. Let us know. Put down what your top movies are.
You know, there was a movie that I left off here that I just kind of realized that probably would have made the list. That's Major League. Didn't that come out in 1989?
Oh, Major League was funny. It's a great movie.
That is a movie that I still quote to this day.
Ricky Vaughn. Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn. Tom Berenger.
Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
He was in the first one. He wasn't in the second one.
The only one that came back for the second one was Tom Berenger. Not Tom Berenger.
No.
Yeah, Tom Berenger was catcher.
They all came back for the second one. It was the third one, I think you're thinking of. Back to the Minors?
That could be.
Yeah, because I think him and Serrano, I think, came back. Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen the first two.
So with that, we're going to just go into what our next episode's going to be, which will be our
Yeah, we're going to touch on a little bit, and
It's going to be our next episode is going to be about DEI.
how
Which-
it's
Which
absolutely
is, if you haven't heard what
destroying
DEI
Hollywood.
is, it's diversity, equity, inclusion. To us, it's destroying a lot of stuff in Hollywood because they're doing.
It's no longer meritocracy. It's
Right,
just,
it's-
are you this or are
Yeah.
you that, or what color are you, or
Yeah.
what do you believe in?
Right.
They don't hire people based on whether or not they're the best person for the job. They hire them whether or not they check certain boxes.
And what's really driving this one for me was the whole thing with Ryan Reynolds in his war with
Ryan
Disney.
Reynolds and the writing staff
Yeah.
and the producers of Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting
Yeah, they're
to
taking
keep
Disney
that
to
movie
task.
relevant.
They're taking them to task. They're like, look, you don't do this, we're out.
Which
you don't do this, we're out.
I think we should cover more in the next episode. And
Yeah.
also, Henry Cavill is supposed to. So they're apparently shooting his cameo scene.
Yes.
And from what I understand, they're shooting him to play
Either two characters.
two characters. I
Either
won't
or.
say which because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
But they're going to shoot both scenes with him playing this. But again, Henry Cavill is fighting for whatever character they choose. He wants it to be a good version of that character.
Because Ryan Reynolds and Henry Cavill are about the story.
Yeah.
This is
They are about being faithful to the source material.
the
They
source
are
material.
about entertaining, giving people what they want to get, what they want to see.
right, not what the check boxes say.
Yeah, no.
So
These people are run by focus groups and by online polls, and I don't get it.
yeah, they're losing sight of the art of movies.
And you said you brought up apparently Disney stocks going down another
Went down
13%.
13% yesterday.
We're going to cover next week or in 2 weeks
Yeah.
how much money Disney has lost.
Not just Disney, studios in general.
Disney's kind of the poster child.
Well, because
I mean,
they're ruining two of the.
They were just voted. Well, no, Disney's ruining three. They are ruining their own image.
Yeah,
They are ruining the MCU,
they've ruined Star Wars.
and they have ruined Star Wars. It's absolutely a disgrace.
Yeah. So that will be our next episode, which, like I
Next
said, will
week?
be our
Next-
next 2 weeks. Again, you know,
I'm waking up, Dave.
let us know in the comments. Send us an email. You want to see us do something? Let us know, like via email.
Tell us how
or
bad our
comments.
lists were because
Yeah.
you could do your own 80s list and it'd be.
Completely different.
I mean, there's a couple movies that have to be on there, like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. But aside from that, and an Empire. But aside from that,
Christmas Vacation. That has to.
I
be
could
on
do a
there
list
by
without
itself.
Christmas Vacation. Or like I could see a list without Christmas Vacation. I mean, I left Major League off mine, and I kind of forgot about it because I'm an idiot and I still haven't woken up.
Okay, we've been here an hour now, so you should be awake by now.
Yeah, I mean, they're well. No, I thought
the
that you were coming
excuses
out.
gonna
They
go
were about
so
to come
long.
out here and start yelling at us to wrap it up.
So, you got
So-
anything else to say?
No, Dave, I'm tired. And next week's
2 weeks.
I keep saying next week.
yeah,
2 weeks from now, it should be a really, really good show because there's some stuff that I want to look into. I'm going to learn a lot doing some research for this episode because I'm going to look into like how much, like how many movies that these companies have like released that have bombed compared to how many they've actually released that were actually, successes. And
when
we're
they-
going to look at stock values, especially with Disney. I think Disney's lost ballpark $150 billion.
Yeah, it's
Like,
ridiculous.
I don't know how
Bob
Bob Iger is still in charge there when
because
he's
they
lost
just
that
that's
much.
What, yeah, we'll discuss that. He just won because the stockholders voted to keep him in. So I don't know. So
Maybe these stockholders just want to keep buying more stock while it's still this cheap. And
So-
then, then vote him out once like the stock hits, a penny a share and then they can buy as much as they want and then get someone else in there because Disney is not unsalvageable, but it is unsalvageable with the current
regime
group that they have running this place because the Disney name
Holds
since
weight.
its inception
but it holds weight, but not anymore.
held weight. Now it's like, so they're putting something out, it's going to be horrible.
So again, hope everybody enjoyed that. Again, we are the Average Dave's Movie and TV Talk. I'm Dave, and that's Dave. And
Yeah.
Dave is using an excuse that he's tired today, but whatever.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I hope
not an
everybody
excuse,
has
it's
a
a
great
fact.
day, and we will see you next time.
Stop
Have a good
talking
one.
over me. Deuces.